Hello and welcome. Today I want to show you some of the different results I've got from shooting the blood moon last week. I've took all of these pictures with the Canon 600D and the Tamron 72-300 lens, although the Tamron lens was at 300mm all the time. So combined that with a crop sensor body, we almost have around 480mm. I really tried out a bunch of different exposure times, a bunch of different ISOs, so I'm just gonna see what worked best here. So here is the first picture I've took, ISO 6400, 2.5 seconds exposure time. Really didn't work out that well, that's kind of blurry because too long shutter speed, 4 seconds is definitely way too long for this kind of focal length. And 2 seconds doesn't look too bad here, but when I zoom in 1:1 you really can see that it's kind of blurry and there's a bit of movement in the moon. These are videos, by the way. Now this one doesn't look too bad. This one is 1 second, 800 ISO, so it's a relatively low ISO for the shoot that I've done, and I definitely do like this picture. You can even see some of the stars here, but mainly the blood moon. I think this one is pretty cool. You really see different lighting in every single picture. It almost changed almost every minute a slight bit, so again this one is pretty cool. This one is shot at 6400 ISO, 1.3 seconds. By the way, all of these are shot at f5.6 because unfortunately this is just the widest my lens will go, so obviously I don't want to stop that any further down. And you can see it's almost kind of overexposed in this bright part of the moon where the sun hits. But really the main thing that I don't like is the noise. It wouldn't be that hard to fix, but I feel like it's a bit too bright almost. Now this is 2 second exposure time. 2 seconds really were a bit too long, so it's kind of blurry here, but it's still decent detail. ISO 1600 doesn't really have too much noise, really nothing out of hand. Then let's go down a bit more. I think that was my brightest picture that I've took. ISO 12800, 2 seconds, and you can see absolute mess of noise, of color noise, absolutely not usable. And let's go down a bit more. Here's another picture, ISO 400, 2 seconds, really blurry, kind of too dark. This one is at ISO 1600, 1 second. Now this doesn't look too bad. Let's see until it's zoomed in 1:1. Yeah, this picture definitely isn't bad, but I think I have a better one. And here you can see the bright spot of the sun. Where it was in the bottom is almost a bit to the left now. And this is just about probably 15 minutes apart, these pictures from the first one to this one right here. And let's see, here's another very bright picture, absolutely overexposed. This one doesn't look bad, ISO 400, a bit blurry again. This is also a bit blurry. I think I missed focus here. I adjusted focus multiple times. It's really kinda difficult to nail the focus, because even though you can zoom in 10 times on your little LCD of your camera, it really is such a low quality then, especially because of the noise, that it's really hard to get the perfect focus. But I've managed to do that at least in some pictures. By the way, that's the one I ended up liking the most. This is the edited version, and as you can see, it's one of my later ones. Instead of the bright part being at the bottom, it is now on the entire left side. And this picture, I mean, you might think it's not one of my sharpest compared to the ones you've seen before, but it's really cropped down, you know. I've cropped out a lot of the rest of the picture, so essentially you probably have around 800 millimeters, if not more here. And this picture actually made it to a few newspapers, which is definitely pretty cool. Here is, I believe, the same picture without the crop. Actually, it's not the same picture, but I think I've just took this a few seconds later. So you can see here, I've cropped out a bit. And for this episode, I think I'm just gonna try and find a good picture, a nice and sharp picture, and edit that, and just kind of show you what kind of editing I've done to the picture. Alright, so I found a pretty cool picture here, shot at ISO 3200, 1 second exposure time, and it's really a lot of detail in this picture. And I really don't think I'm gonna edit this very much. As you can see, there's a little bit of noise, but really nothing that was out of hand. And a cool thing also is that we see a little bit of these stars here, which I really like, and I think it gives a little bit more atmosphere to the whole picture. So first thing I do is, really, this will be totally different than any of my other landscape or nature photography edits. Actually, I'm gonna bring down the highlights, although just a tiny bit, and the contrast, I think I'm gonna bring up the contrast. In terms of black, I feel like the blacks are fine how they are, and I'm definitely gonna raise the clarity because, I mean, this really does look too much, so I think I'm just gonna raise this clarity slider a bit too. And we already have a pretty cool image. Now there's really not much you can do here, as you can see. Here is the raw file, and here's what we've made out of it. I mean, it looks a bit better, but it's really not that big of a difference. The biggest thing that is important with pictures like this is the detail tool because of the noise reduction. So I'm definitely gonna introduce some noise reduction, and as you can see, all of this noise that you see in the entire picture is suddenly gone, and that looks way better, way cleaner. And actually, a thing that I might do is go to sharpening and kind of bring up the sharpening just a little bit, and then of course bring the masking slider to the right. This kind of looks cool also with the masking slider. But anyways, I'm just gonna bring the masking slider to the right until there's just stars and the moon itself selected and nothing else of the sky. Yeah, I think that works well. So here's without any noise reduction. I mean, it really has a lot of sharpness in the moon, and here's with some noise reduction. Actually, I feel like I might even sharpen that a bit more by just grabbing a radial filter and drag it over the moon like this. For this case, I think I'm gonna bring down the feather to around 15, then just roughly bring it over the moon and add some sharpening here. And then the most important thing probably is the cropping, because no matter what lens you have, unless you have a telescope, you probably will not be able to fill the moon, not even closely. So you definitely want to crop some of this picture. What aspect ratio do you go for definitely is up to you. Actually, let me try a panoramic format. I'm not sure about this one, maybe the other way around. Actually, I completely messed it up. I don't want to straighten it. Yeah, just like this. Let me just get that right and just try this panoramic aspect ratio. I mean, I don't think it works that well. I think I'm gonna stick with an original crop 3x2 and just kind of make that a bit smaller. And in terms of composition, I really don't think rule of thirds works that well, because there's really just one major attraction of the scene. So I think I'm just gonna place that in the middle, press enter, and I feel like we have a pretty decent picture. Now obviously this is not one of my regular editing videos, this really is more about the picture and how I took it rather than the editing. I want to thank you very much for watching as always, and by the way, I'm really sorry if you've missed the blood moon because you had a cloudy sky. That really sucks to miss such an event because of some stupid clouds, but oh well, you can control the weather. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. If you did not enjoy the video, you know what to do as well. And if you would like to see more videos just like this one, and kind of more regular landscape editing videos, where I concentrate more about the editing rather than how I took the picture, be sure to subscribe. I wish you an amazing day, keep taking awesome pictures, and of course, take care.